Ah, it is so good to be here. We almost didn't make it. And I'll tell you why later. But first of all, let me welcome Nick Jones. I see the very first message that pops, or the first comment that pops on my eyesight is Nick Jones, who says he's new. Welcome, Nick. Welcome to Coffee and Headlines. Here we are feeling all itchy. Here we are feeling all discombobulated. The last 12 hours have been a little strange for me, but I'll tell you why in a second. First, welcome. Welcome to Coffee and Headlines. This is our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we examine headlines from our city, state, and country. We take a look at what you bring to the table, questions about Puerto Vallarta, things that are on your mind as they relate to the city that we live in as a community of English-speaking locals. And what do we do with all this information? We share it. We share it so we can better connect with each other and with the city, our culture, our way of life, all that good stuff. It is a pleasure to see you on this day, Tuesday, October 17. And we have a few announcements. Things continue to get back to normal because now we have more complainy type news items. So whenever the newspapers start complaining again about this is not working and this should be fixed and the city is not welcoming unless the government it does that and so forth and so on, that means that attention is now diverted from the recent natural phenomenon. So we're going to go through all of this, and I hope that you are doing great. But first, as always, we encourage anyone, just as Nick has done, if you are new to the live broadcast experience and you wish to get a nice little welcome, just add the word new in your comment. We'll be so very happy to welcome you aboard. And if there is something really important that you wish to share with everybody else, or that you wish to have a reaction or a comment, it helps a great deal if you add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment. Let me set up our news so that we can start going through what we have for today. And we begin with an announcement from SEAPAL, our lovely waterworks company. They've announced that water service will be interrupted through the day today in Colonia Lázaro Cárdenas due to the connection of new pipes. So please keep this in mind if you live in the area. Service is expected to be restored by 9 p.m. this evening, and the work will take place along Ecuador Street as it intersects in two different places, one with Las Americas Street and one with Guayaquil Street. And again, we must be returning to normality as some of the local papers are back to reporting on things that are not working or that must be improved. In this case, it is about the lateral roads along Francisco Medina Asensio, the northbound lane near Plaza Las Glorias, where, according to this news report, several cars have been damaged. And of course, if we don't fix these things, says the article, we don't give us a message. We don't send out a message of trust to tourists. I love it when the papers fluff up their pieces and all they're doing is they're complaining. They're not reporting anything new, particularly when we you keep in mind that this is a moot point just because 2 blocks north of this particular location in front of Plaza Las Glorias, the whole lateral is being demolished and repaved and converted to a more civilized road with bicycle paths and so forth and so on. And we've known about this for the longest time. So is it likely that the city will go ahead and fix a few potholes where they're going to be tearing down the whole street in a few weeks? It's very unlikely. But hey, this is what we have to share this morning. So we just go along with it with a little cheer. More on the complaint department. According to this one, several areas of the city where tree branches and mud remain after Hurricane Lidia passed through the region have not been addressed by the city just yet. And I can attest to this, at least in parts of Colonia Versalles and Diaz Ordaz, as I've been running errands in the last couple of days. But I don't think it's so much that the city has not responded to citizens' reports. I cannot speak for the city, but, you know, I am sure that a little bit of patience and understanding will go a long way when you consider that a Category 4 hurricane just passed through the city, don't you think? And here's another point to that effect. How busy is the city right now when it comes to cleaning up debris after the hurricane? Well, let's just say that according to Pablo Sandoval Reyes from the city's municipal services office, Hurricane Lidia's very strong winds managed to uproot some 500 trees, and there are still more to be accounted for. And I quote, "And we're still going at it, and there's a lot of work to be done," he commented, Pablo Sandoval commented. And he added that there are, at present time, approximately 800 city workers involved in this process directly. So when you think about this, you know, it's 800 people working to clean something that just happened less than a week ago. So I think we all could use a little bit of empathy and a little bit of patience when it comes to things getting back to normal. Is 800 city workers removing tree debris a large number or a small number for a city that has more than 300,000 inhabitants? Well, that is up for debate, I'm sure. But all I'm trying to say here is that, you know, when a hurricane comes through your city, you cannot expect things to just be back to normal overnight. So a little bit of patience, I suppose, goes a long way in that regard. Let us switch over to the weather forecast just to see what is going on in that department. Are you ready to reap this freaky ass harvest? Asks our snarky weather service. I don't have any freaky ass harvest. I'll be happy if I have happy brownies by the end of the day, which are in the middle of being made, and my house smells really funny, but that's a different story. What I want to tell you about, it is 29 degrees Celsius out there right now. Humidity is at 56%. And our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is a lovely 85. Our weather forecast for today says humid with mostly cloudy skies through the day. A chance of rain of 15%, a high of 32, and a low of 24. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we can expect mostly cloudy skies in the morning with rain in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 43%, a high temperature of 31, and a low of 24. And then Thursday, it'll be a humid day with overcast skies through the day, a chance of rain of 46%, a high of 30, and a low of 24. I have a couple more things to share with you before we get into the chit-chat section. For starters, Guadalajara has announced its own Day of the Dead parade. This will take place on October 28th. Of course, this is following suit after Mexico City announced their grand Day of the Dead parade a few years ago. Well, Guadalajara said we can have one as well. And this will take place on October 28th. It'll feature music, traditional dancing, altars, food, and a bunch of calaveras or skulls, as you can imagine. It will go right through the historic downtown area of Guadalajara. And what I'll do is I will leave you with the organizer's Facebook page for more information should you find yourselves in Guadalajara at the end of the month. And now, I promised you some show and tell yesterday that I failed to set up in motion by the time we got started with our broadcast. And it has to do with what I did over the weekend. Well, over the weekend, I just kept really busy at home and crocheted. I crocheted a couple of things. I finished this curtain that I made for my kitchen, which I needed to put there because it faces the laundry, and the laundry is not very pretty. And then I did more of these things, more of these. Uh, I hold on to empty glass jars, salsa jars, mustard jars, coffee jars, and then I just cover them with yarn so that I can use these and put little candles in them. I figured I'm going to apply some reverse psychology on the electricity shutdowns. I figured if I am prepared, then the electricity will stop going away. Of course, that is just naive thinking on my part. So, yesterday, I'll tell you the beginning of my very strange day. Um, Yesterday, I was heading out in the afternoon to have fun with a friend of mine, with Daniel, who is part of the cluster. He is a benefactor of Coffee and Headlines, and he is largely responsible of the fact that we don't have um, interruptions during the broadcast anymore, which is absolutely wonderful. Anyhow, as I was leaving the house yesterday afternoon, the power went off, and I figured, okay, here we go again. They're shutting down the power so that they can continue to repair this, that, and the other. I will leave the house, run my errands, and I know that by the time I get home, everything will be back to normal. So I went out with my friend Daniel. We connected. We had a great time. We went to this restaurant that I liked. It was a fun restaurant. And but okay, no, let's not get into the restaurant right now. Let me finish my story first. Anyhow, I was heading home, and I came home to find that the power was still out, and it was already like 6 o'clock in the evening, and I figured, oh shit, they're still making repairs. But then I noticed that my next door neighbor's power was on. Oh, the spammers are really going at it this morning. Please pay no attention to them. Anyhow, I noticed that my neighbors did have electricity, and that's when a little light bulb went up on top of my head, and I realized, Paco, did you pay for the electricity bill this month? And that's when I realized that I didn't. That's right. I forgot to pay my electricity bill. I usually put my bill. Well, I was leaving the house and I put my bill in the bag that where I put all the chingaderas that I use for my presentations, and that was two presentations ago. And I forgot about the bill. And of course, by the time I connected these dots, it was like 8 o'clock at night, and I realized that I hadn't paid the bill. So, what does one do when you forget to pay your electricity bill and you get shut down by the CFE? Well, you have to go pay the bill. And I knew that I couldn't just go to the nearest OXXO because OXXO only accepts payments until before the bill is due. So I was thinking to myself, I'm never going to be able to fix this. I'm never going to be able um, to get back in time for Coffee and Headlines this morning. But lo and behold, I went to the CFE office in, is it in Centro? In Cinco de Diciembre. And I used the CFE automatic payment chingadera. And I paid the bill. Then I asked a nice lady, okay, so if I go home and I switch my switch, will I get myself in trouble? And she said, no, the switch is your property. It is your meter that you cannot touch. And I know that because the meters are not easy to get to. Long story short, I came home. I was back here by 8:30 in the morning this morning. I flicked my switch, and here we are. So here we are. Now you know, if you ever forget to pay for your electricity bill, all you have to do is obviously go pay it. And more often than not, you can just turn the switch on yourself. You are not going to get into major trouble, or at least I hope I don't. And if I do, I hope I get in trouble after the broadcast is over. The end. Let us try to get past all this spam that we're getting this morning, which will disappear on its own, I'm sure. Let me see what you guys are up to. Starting with good afternoon from David and good mornings from many, many friends, which is lovely. We said hello to Nick, and I thank you, the rest of you who took the time to say hello to Nick as well. Many welcomes, many comments, and I'm looking for cues, and I don't see any cues. There's a cue. I guess 946 trees, and Linda guesses 857. Well, I think we had an answer just a second ago, and there's still more trees. I am bummed out about the trees. I mean, that's a lot of trees when you think about it. Let's see. More spam, more spam, more spam. And thank you for your comments on the jar holders, Sherry. Of course, now I'm ready for power outages. Here is a cue. Will you do your country music talk soon? Since you asked, Louise, the answer is yes. Now, my question back to you is, are you in town or are you not in town? The reason I ask is because I have the dates set aside for presentations for November and December, 2 on each month. But I haven't assigned them to specific topics. One of those 4 is going to be the rescheduled country music presentation. So if you are out of town and you have a preference for November or December, please write a little comment so that I can keep it in mind. Otherwise, sometime today, I will just assign country to one of those 4 dates that we have and come up with topics for the other 3 based on some of the feedback that I've gotten recently from you guys. Yay. It's a good thing you don't see the spam, Paula. We're getting pummeled this morning, but Facebook cancels these things. They don't show up on the comments, but we are being pummeled. Let's see. Pum 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 pum. Oh, honey, you have no idea. I had so much anxiety last night. I didn't sleep well. First of all, I'm thinking, I'm going to be going away by Friday, and I have a lot of work to do between now and Friday. And I've never missed a coffee and headlines for not being prepared, and I was not happy with that notion. And I need electricity to do all the things that I need to do. And the air was not moving, and I was lying in bed, and I was dripping in sweat. So yeah, there was a lot of anxiety. Let's just say that after the broadcast, I'm going to take such a well-deserved nap. It's not even funny. This is an interesting comment. Evan says, CFE doesn't give you much leeway, do they? Well, here's the thing, Evan. My bill was due, and I looked at it on the 3rd of this month. And I was shut down yesterday, which was the 16th. So they actually gave me a little over 2 weeks worth of leeway. And it's just that I forgot because the bill was stashed away in the bottom of one of my Merces. So it is what it is. Thank you, Chris. Your story about the electrical is shocking. Thank you. I thought if you pay at the CFE machine to get your power back on after it is turned off, it doesn't collect the penalty charge. I was not charged any penalties, and I turned it back on myself. I just wanted to make sure that I paid it before I turned it back on myself. And let's see what else we have. Oh, bummer. Louise says in town, but not in November or December. If you want, Louise, I can reschedule it for January. Will you be in town in January? Let me know. And I'll be happy to do that. No big whoop. And what else do we have? Remind me to tell you about my major CFE whoopsies at work many years ago when we had a full house of people paying high season rates, including a certain notoriously tall and intimidating actress. Well, you know, Logan, it happens to all of us. Not too long ago, our dear friend Gina had the same snafu. She forgot to pay for her bill at the restaurant and she was like running like crazy. So, you know, it happens to the best of us. And with that said, I think we are down to the end of today's broadcast. So this makes me very happy. We didn't have to cancel. So I'm back to my routine. I hope you are back to whatever it is that you plan to do today. I will be back tomorrow with more coffee and headlines to share with you. So hopefully I'll see you then. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I will hopefully see you sometime in the near future. Between now and then, stay happy, stay kind, and for crying out loud, don't forget to pay your bills in time. Have a great day. In time, on time. Just pay the darn things. See ya.